Howdy, howdy. Welcome on in to the pre-show before the free show, and you're already a little fired up.
Heated up.
He came in hot.
Came in hot, and I've got a lot of things to talk about. Let's go take a look over at the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Today, Greg Powers Memorial Power Zone, where we find Greg Powers.
Beautiful.
What's up?
Athlete. Hi, buddy. I want to read you an article that not an article, but a headline that I found here. Headline from Psych News Daily.
Is this a real publication?
This is.
Okay.
Well, it is. What they do is they take it's one of those places that
Is it like The Onion?
It's a real publication that takes fake publications and turns them into news.
That's not true. What they do is they take medical journals and
Dumb them
academic
down?
studies, and they dumb them down.
Oh, okay.
That's what this is.
Nice.
So this is good for us.
Right. The post-pandemic world headline. The post-pandemic world. 34% of remote workers say they'd rather quit than return to full-time office work.
Whew.
34%, a full third of the workers say they'd rather quit. I won't go that far because I do like
Paychecks.
health insurance. But I see where they're coming from. And Pickle, you and I have been coming in the office pretty much
For just about the entire time.
on the reg.
Realistically.
On the reg, we were off basically March, April, May. We came back for a little bit in June, and then we went back in our corners for 2 months. I would say
We were back by July. I
would say of these 14 months,
Mhm.
ish, 14 months. Oh boy, 13 months. Of these 13 months, I would say we've been in the office for nine.
Yeah.
9 of them. So most of it. So we're not necessarily the target audience here. I know you've been out there grinding.
Yes, very much so.
But I will say this. If you have a commute, I was talking with my neighbor about this. If you have a commute, it's going to be hard to be up. I guess I'll get in the car and sit for 45 minutes.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And then fight traffic on the way home. There are definitely downsides to working from home. But I don't necessarily, I don't begrudge people, these 34% who are no, I love working from home. I don't begrudge it.
It makes
I need the social interaction for me,
Mhm.
but I also know that not everybody, thank God, is wired like me.
Right. I think that you could probably pull those people too, and out of those 34%, I would really bet that probably 24% of them say, "Oh, I absolutely don't want to go back to work."
Mm-hmm.
But you're darn right, I'm going back to work.
Right.
I have a little bit. I guess it's not a hot take or anything on this, but I've
Hot Take Wednesday.
worked from home extensively, worked in the office extensively, worked on the road a lot. I would say for what we do, there's a healthy balance there of working from home and then coming into the office to strategize. But I think on the creative side and on the actual writing side, that it's beneficial to work from home. I get more of that type of stuff done working from home, but I do see the value in coming in for the team meetings and strategizing the big picture stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But for what we do, I see a value in working.
So
from
here's
home.
the thing. I'm going to read another part of this. This is a staffing firm that did this. They surveyed 1,000 adults, top 6 answers on the board. The joke from an old game show. Just under half of all the surveyed work-from-home employees, 49%, said they would prefer a hybrid work arrangement, dividing their time between the office and another location. That, I think, I can definitely get on board.
Powers and I both shook our head when you said that. That is
it's smart.
absolutely
It's
perfect.
like you come into the office Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but then Tuesday, Thursday you're home, or some sort of thing like that.
Mhm.
I can see that, and in a lot of ways that's kind of like our job. Our job, we have to be here every day at noon for you people, but we really, we do a lot of our stuff elsewhere. I know, for example, now that we're in magazine season, I'm staying up late and I'm working, nights and stuff like that to get magazine stuff done. So I can see that. They did say the survey also reveals what employers can do to ease, they put that in quotes for some reason, the transition back to office life. For example, the most important aspect that the surveyed employees mentioned is the freedom. Above all, that means freedom to set their own hours. They've also grown increasingly fond of the highly personalized workspace that work-from-home jobs allow. along those same lines, they indicate that work from home provides a more distraction-free environment. I agree with that. They also said they prefer a relaxed dress code.
I think that's a big thing.
Well,
and
again,
we're lucky here. This is hard for us to relate to this article.
We're not like worker bees in the. I mean, I have a cubicle, but like we're not worker bees in a cubicle farm who like show up, punch the clock, and go home.
Right.
We have different jobs, but like for example, like they're like at this point in like. We can all show up in like jeans and a t-shirt every day and yeah, if like big boss comes in or like we have a meeting or something like that, there's going to be something that's expected of us. And like, for example, our boss is walking by and he's wearing wedding pants, but like, for us, I think on the editorial side it's different.
Here's a key question.
Yeah.
Okay. You write some bigger picture articles throughout the year.
Sometimes.
Right? You do some big articles for the magazine. Do you do the bulk of your writing for those articles in the office, or do you do the bulk of the writing for those articles at home?
I do the bulk of the writing. I do the bulk of my writing at night, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One is I'm drunk, and two,
words just flow out a lot easier at that point.
Yeah, exactly. If you guys ever wondered why there's so many typos in that magazine, but no, the reason is I have now. This is my 11th summer magazine. This is my 11th summer magazine, and I've figured out that, like, if I need to talk with people, if I need to talk with coaches, I have to do that between business hours, and I can't use my time. Like, I'm better off using my off hours time writing and stuff like that. So there's a strategic reason for that. But also, I am more comfortable at home. And I generally, when I'm writing, I need a comfortable environment. I like to have everything just so that I can kind of get in the zone and go.
I think that's how most writers would probably answer that question. I think anything that's important, you have to have the right headspace for, and that headspace can be difficult to find in an office setting.
Well, and then the other side of it that makes it so hard with our job to really wrap our mind around that is the fact of, and Powers and I are very much this way, but like right now, a big portion of my job is revolving around our Texan Live stuff. And it's not football stuff, but it's,
Dave Campbell's Texan Live.
Yeah, Dave Campbell's Texan Live. And so it was like last night I was cutting highlights until about 10 o'clock at night. But it's like we have that that event-oriented job that, maybe we don't show up until 10 o'clock in the morning to the regular office job, but it's because we were up until 10 or 11 last night doing the job throughout the night. So
exactly right. Like
it's hard.
Like one of the things that I think I've been able to accomplish here is convincing our boss and convincing the powers that be that like you don't got to worry about getting 40, 50, 60 hours of work out of me every week. No. Like it may not be here in the office, but you don't have to worry about that.
Well, that's in general too. Like what she's saying, covering events. I mean, you may spend 12 hours at the state qualifying 7-on-7 tournament on a Saturday, and that is work.
Well, yeah, exactly. Just because it's not during the 9 to 5,
right?
It still counts.
Okay.
Nights, weekends, and holidays.
One other thing I want to think, and this is from that same website, Psych News Daily. New survey: 76% of working from home, or 76% say working from home has improved relationships with colleagues.
I'm sure. Yeah, I get that.
Which
I was thought you were gonna go with the spouse thing, like it's improved, and I was like, wow, that's a huge surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife's had it up to here with me. That's been since day one. That's interesting. Of like the less I see you, the better. You know what I mean? But like I can see it that like there's not that kind of tension. There's not those little things that annoy you about working with people and working with your colleagues, stuff like that. Pickle, do you want to weigh in here?
I have to see you every day.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But no, I completely get that because I think that no matter how much you like a person, there's a lot of times that if you're spending like 8 hours, especially like in cubicle life, when we're all sitting out there at our desk and we're spending 8 hours a day together, it's like there are little things that people do that it's like, oh man. But when you don't see them, you don't get those little things. So then when you're interacting, it is literally only about a job that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And so then you're good.
I think it's fair to say that Pickle likes me way better than you because Pickle and I spend less time together.
110%.
That's enough of that. Hit the theme next time. Let's go! Free money! From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas, it is Texas Football Today, a show online. My name is Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, a magazine, texasfootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live at texasfootball.com, Facebook, Instagram, or not Instagram, Twitch or YouTube. Instagram.
Not on Instagram.
MySpace, Friendster.
We are, yeah.
If you're watching us on like one of those like old Nokia phones where you can do the
Snake.
Play Snake, or you're listening to us with a podcast on your Nokia phone, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local mediocre internet show. I am sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. She is the Duchess of the Dorks. She's the former Llano High School homecoming princess. She's Ashley Pickle.
Yeah, if I'm going to be known for one thing,
that's one thing.
what I want. Like, if you ask me right now, what do you want on your tombstone? If you died
what's
today,
your legacy?
What do we put on 2014 Llano Homecoming Princess, which basically means I was the first loser.
Comma State Mariachi reporter.
Yeah,
yes, there we go. See, now that's a real brag if we're being honest.
1996. Crapple Crossing Elementary 4th grade geography B champion. That's me.
Did you ever get a hold of the librarian to see if your plaque was still in there?
She wrote back.
It's not.
That
you're washed. You're officially washed now.
Those other voices, the other voice you heard, is over in the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Today. Greg Powers Memorial Power Zone with Greg Powers. Hi, Greg.
Greg. Second grade.
Awesome.
Second grade. Second place, spelling bee, almost champion, Powers.
So spelling bee runner-up.
Runner-up.
Do you remember the word that?
Libraries.
Oh.
Libraries, plural? Oh, F that word. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. No, you know what?
Yes, I definitely, did you see there was no libraries?
Like, I knew exactly. But my favorite part was just
Greg.
It's because I threw him off because I call him Greg. Yeah, libraries.
Greg.
Libraries is a bad word. That's
especially for a second grade.
Yeah, that's mean.
I used to get made fun of because I said that word wrong.
Libraries?
I said library.
Libraries.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Little library. It was definitely the country accent, but
yeah, I can see that. Today is I see things that you don't shake sometimes. Today is Wednesday, April 7th, 2021. 232 days till Thanksgiving. Episode 1142. 1142. This is the number of innings pitched by Len Barker in his illustrious Texas Rangers career. 114.2 innings from 1976 to 1978.
We're getting super close to being to 150 is the number, right?
No, it's only 170s.
Oh,
I'm going to have to convert him to Reds statistics.
Yeah, maybe we'll go to Reds. It's fine. I mean, they have a longer history than the Rangers, so they theoretically
have the
more
longest
players.
history.
Yeah, I was going to say they have more players, so we could just
keep
move
going.
over to Reds.
All right.
If I get tired of reading out players from one godforsaken franchise. On today's show, my friends, we got Powers here, so we're going to do This Week in Recruiting, the latest news and notes from the recruiting trail across the state of Texas, and then back after the show, a big-time guest, a guy who's going to have his name mentioned twice in this podcast in both segments. Four-pin Hightower wide receiver Caleb Douglas, who's had we'll get to that. No, we'll get to that.
We don't need to tease it.
It's good to be Caleb Douglas right now. Good to be Caleb Douglas, not just because you get interviewed by Greg Powers. So we'll have that coming up here in the back half of the show if you stay tuned with us. Now, I'm Greg Tepper. That's Greg Powers. And this is This Week
In Crootin.
Feeling. This Week in Recruiting.
It's a double fist pump in Crootin.
Greg Powers of Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowerScout. Follow Next Level Athlete on Twitter at NextLevelD1. See his fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. And, of course, This Week in Recruiting is brought to you by our good chicken friends at Chicken Express.
It tastes good.
I can't do any better than that.
Greg.
Chicken Express. Chicken Express. It tastes good. Which is objectively true. Objectively true.
It is absolutely true.
That's truth in advertising. This Week in Recruiting with Greg Powers, the Next Level Athlete. A lot to get to in this week's recruiting notebook dump. We will start with our prospect on the rise, teased in the open, and stay tuned for more of this gentleman. But it's Fort Bend Hightower wide receiver Caleb Douglas. This is a guy who has had a really nice week. He picked up 3 offers from Texas Tech, from Virginia Tech, and from Colorado State. He's already got a couple of offers, including in-state offers from Baylor, Houston, and Rice. Overall, yeah, good to be Caleb Douglas right now. Feels like people are starting to take notice of what this Fort Bend Hightower, soon-to-be senior, has been doing.
Our interview with Caleb couldn't have lined up any better timing-wise because he's just been on a meteoric rise within the state ranks. He transitioned from quarterback to wide receiver, and I think the best way to probably describe his game on the field is smooth. I mean, he's a smooth route runner. He has a big frame at 6'3". He's long. He's able to work deep down the field and use his length to his advantage and make big plays. And one thing that I really liked as I, not only did research to do the interview for him and then also a little bit more to, as he continued to pick up offers this week to work his way up to the, the position of prospect on the rise is, he just seems to have the it factor on and off the field. He's a guy who gets it. He's really pleasant to talk to, super smart. I threw his offer from Rice here on the list. I don't think he's going to end up at Rice. He's got some heavy hitters coming after him, but he's academically sound as well, and I think that's really important. Has the endorsement from his coaches. His coaches down there really like him, says he's one of these guys who shows up to everything. Mm-hmm. So if you're a college who's listening to this broadcast and you haven't yet offered Caleb Douglas, there's not a better endorsement that he has the size, the speed, and all the intangibles that you look for away from the field to be a guy that should probably make your roster better.
Yeah, most certainly. That's something to keep an eye on, and of course we will have more from Caleb Douglas coming up here at the back half of the show with Greg Powers' conversation with that young man coming up here. Let's now move on to our Commit of the Week. Our Commit of the Week, we're going to the DFW Metroplex to talk about 2022 Dallas Skyline running back Quaylen Farrar. Did I say that right? Farrar?
Yep.
Okay, good. I want to make sure. He has committed to North Texas. Over offers. He had offers from Houston, from Mizzou, from Tennessee, from KU, from a bunch of different places. I'll say this. He's not the biggest running back that's ever existed in the world. 5'8", 170 pounds. But you watch the film, and it doesn't matter how big you are whenever all you're seeing is taillights. And that seems to be the case with Quaylen Farrar.
Yeah, he's one of these guys who's described as a speed burner, and what I really like about watching him on the highlight tape is he has the speed to get outside to the edge and make defenses pay, but he's built pretty well too. Yeah. I mean, he's not a guy who you say he's not tall. I mean, you can say he's not tall, but he's stout. You know, he can run through arm tackles. He's thick in the lower body to I think, get the distinction that he's a guy who can remain at running back. And sometimes these guys with his stature are really tough to tackle in college. They can hide behind the offensive lineman where you can't necessarily see them as a linebacker to get your hands on them. And before you know it, they're running past you. And he's that type of guy. And I think this is a huge pickup for North Texas, not only from the standpoint that he can fit into that offense very well, but he picked North Texas over some pretty premium offers. I mean, he picked North Texas over Houston, Kansas, Missouri, and Tennessee. So this is a pretty big get for UNT.
Yeah, most certainly. They list him on the questionnaire running a 4.4. I would like to – I'm always hesitant whenever coaches say that a guy's that fast. But at the same time, this guy strikes me as one of those guys that if you were to laser time him, it would be a really good time and then you go on the field, and he doesn't lose that step. He's got that game speed as well. Because there are guys, and now we're in NFL draft season. Everybody's paying attention to pro days and stuff like that. There are guys who you get them into, as some coaches usually call it, you get them playing underwear football, right? And they're burners. But then you put pads on them, and suddenly they lose a step. That's not the case with this guy. He seems like he's just as fast, with pads on. Yeah, I believe it whenever Coach lists him at a 4.40.
Our friend Guy Frazier had a great take on him. He wrote an article about him almost a year ago, and I had to pull a sentence from that article to put it into the notebook today, and I'm going to read it. He is the definition of a spark plug, and the muscles in his legs act like pistons on a train as he accelerates. Love that quote.
I can see that.
Good job, Guy.
I can see that. Yeah. So, Quaylen Farrar, the newest commit to the North Texas Mean Green. Pickle's going to get her number 4 Farrar jersey.
Yeah.
We're talking this week in recruiting with Greg Patterson, next level athlete here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation, #TF Today. Let's move to our underclassmen of the week. Our underclassmen of the week, we're going to go west, and we're going to think small. We're going to go to Post.
The Antelopes.
Bold Gold Antelopes to talk about their soon-to-be junior linebacker, Isaiah Crawford, who has picked up an offer from Texas Tech. This is a guy who's already got offers from places like Baylor and SMU. He, of course, helped Post get to the state championship game last year. A big reason why they were there. A dominant force on the defense as just a sophomore. Texas Tech makes a lot of sense to offer him, considering anybody who's driven from DFW to Lubbock knows you got to go through Post. And, yeah, this is for a guy at the 2A level to have an offer sheet like that before he starts his junior year. Yeah, there's something special about Isaiah Crawford. Isaiah Crawford.
I always remember Post for just a random factoid here. I always remember Post for the ending of Hell or High Water.
Yes, that's right. That isn't Post.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great movie.
So
I'm going to watch that.
You say small when you said Post, but Isaiah Crawford's not small. 6'4", 210 pounds. He's a guy who dominates, at that level. And that's what you really want to see. When you pop on a tape for one of these guys playing at 2A and you say they're going to be playing at the Power 5 level in college, you want to see them absolutely crushing the competition. And he is like suplexing dudes out there on tape. I mean, he's doing things out there that really are eye-opening and awe-inspiring at times. He's bigger, faster, and stronger than almost everybody who he plays against, and that will be a little bit of a transition for him in college, but I think that he has all the tools that you're looking for at that hybrid defensive end outside linebacker position. I mean, he's still got 2 years of high school ball left. He may grow into just being called a D-end by the time it's all said and done, but right now he's one of those guys who you just can't say, oh, well, Isaiah, go put your hand on the ground and only play this. They want to use him all over the place, and he gets some touches on offense and is just one of those guys who I wouldn't be surprised if he could lead his team back to the state championship game again this year. And that game was a pretty good game. I mean, Shiner had some dudes too.
Yeah. Post, of course, boasted before they go into the state championship game. I know they boasted the best defense in 2A and one of the best defenses in the state. And a big reason why is Isaiah Crawford. And when you're getting that kind of production from a guy who's just a sophomore, I mean, there's a lot of room to grow. But you're right. I think when you get to the 2A level, I kind of view it in the same way as sometimes I view it with the private school ranks, because private school ranks can be uneven. They're like the good teams are really, really good, but there's a big gap between the haves and the have-nots in the private school ranks. And so whenever somebody says this guy's really good at the private school ranks, I need to see him going out there and showing out. You know what I mean? I need to see him dominating. And you see that it's kind of a similar situation with places like a situation like at the 2A level with Isaiah Crawford at Post. I need to see him dominate. Okay, mission accomplished. I'm seeing him dominate.
This is a guy that the Red Raiders need to get. He's in West Texas. This is just, if you have this player there, this is just one of those guys that you have to have. And I think he'll get some really good offers to consider, but he's one of those people that Texas Tech has to be all in on.
Yes.
And I was glad to see them offer. They actually made a significant offer wave in state this week, and he was one of those guys who was one of the recipients of that, one of those Texas Tech offers. But good to see them starting to mix it up and getting in with a lot more guys in state, which they do a really good job of recruiting in state anyway. They just haven't been as aggressive with their offer game lately.
Tech's an interesting situation. We'll move on in just a moment, but Tech's an interesting situation because I think if you're at the University of Texas, if there are enough great prospects in the Austin area that you don't have to bat 1,000. You know what I mean? There's enough great ones. SMU's in DFW. There's enough great prospects in the DFW Metroplex. You don't have to bat 1,000. But I would say that with Tech and with Baylor in Waco, and then I would also say, places like, obviously a different situation, but places like UTEP, right? You are like with places like El Paso and Lubbock and Waco, if you got great players in your town, you probably need to bat close to 1,000 with these guys. This feels like an important prospect to prove that Tech has still got that drawing power. That this is a guy who's down the road, who theoretically, I don't know if he grew up in Post, but if he did, he probably grew up going to Tech games, right? This is the guy you need to haul in.
And I think they could make a good case for him too. They've sent out. We did a story on Hot Take Tuesday, a week or so ago, 2 weeks back, about top defensive prospects going in the NFL draft. Well, 2 of those were linebackers who played at Tech.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they have an interesting case I think that they can make. We don't really necessarily look at Texas Tech as a defensive stalwart, but they do produce NFL talent on the defensive side of the ball, and I think that they can sit down in someone's living room and make that case and say, this is what we've done. You could be next. And I think that's a compelling case to make.
And I think it's also one of those things, we always talk about it with East Texas and West Texas is the same way. People from those regions of the state typically enjoy staying there.
Yeah,
now, we see coaches, like obviously the college side of the East Texas thing is a little bit different, but coaches want to go back to East Texas. They'll take a lower job to go back to East Texas because they just love that portion of the state.
It's a roots situation.
Exactly.
And so keep an eye on this one by Isaiah Crawford, the 2023 post offensive lineman offer, or offensive linebacker, outside linebacker, offensive linebacker, whatever. Outside linebacker.
Defense.
Sports.
Picked up an offer from Texas
Greg.
Tech. Let's round it all out with our Recruit of the Week. Our Recruit of the Week, back in the DFW Metroplex we go with soon-to-be senior wide receiver Stephon Johnson from Lancaster. He has pulled the trigger. He is committed. He had offers from all over the place, including a big group of offers from the Pac-12. A lot of offers from the Pac-12. He is going to the Pac-12. Quack, quack, says Stephon Johnson. He is heading to Oregon. He's our number 67 prospect in the DCT of Hot 100 at that prospect factory down there at Lancaster, and a guy who is a true, you call him a powerhouse receiver. A guy that I think could make a big impact for the Ducks.
He's a guy listed at 6'175", and I'm surprised by that because he plays so much bigger. He works the middle of the field extremely well. Strong hands, and I was glad that he made his commitment this week, even though we had an in-state commitment in Farrar to throw the commit of the week to. I have been wanting to talk about this guy and haven't had enough opportunity to do so. At number 67 in the state, he's probably going to be one of these guys who can outplay that ranking, and we have a lot of talented, especially wide receivers in the state of Texas every class, and some of them just don't end up as 4-stars. Like last year, the guy that I still have nightmares about that I missed their ranking is Jerron Bradley from DeSoto. Johnson is in that type of mold where he could be one of those guys you feel like, if he's not a 4-star, that you messed up. There's only 50 spots for that, and he's in that range, and he has all the skill sets that you look for in a top-tier wide receiver. And guess what? Oregon has been known to produce a pretty good receiver or two, and a lot of those guys move on to play in the NFL. So it's a fast-paced offense that he's moving on to. They're going to get him the football, and you always need a guy who can go over the middle of the field to pick up first downs and move the chains. And he's that gritty, grimy receiver who kind of brings everything to the table, but also has that. He's not afraid.
Does the dirty work.
Yeah.
Does the dirty work. Runs the tough routes. And that continues a trend that we're seeing. And I've mentioned this, but I was doing the recruiting between the numbers piece for Texas for the upcoming 2021 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. I don't think it's any surprise that Texas put out more receivers than any other state in the class of 2021 rather. Nearly 35% of all the FBS signees at the receiver spot came from Texas.
Wow.
45 receivers signed FBS, letters of intent. Texas also led in quarterbacks. 40% of the quarterbacks came from Texas. 26 FBS. I mean, even by great quarterback class standards, 26 FBS signees at the quarterback spot is ridiculous. Texas also led the nation in tight ends, in safeties, in tackles, in all three places on the offensive line, guards, centers, and tackles, as well as they led at inside linebacker and at defensive end. Those are the places that Texas led. Florida led at athlete, cornerback, defensive tackle, and outside linebacker. Our friends in Australia led in punters.
Yes. Shout out Pro Kick.
Arizona led in long snappers, if you're interested in that. And then, this is one thing that I found interesting. One fullback signed in the class of 2021. He was from...
Let me guess. Wisconsin.
No.
Dang.
You'll never guess it. It's honestly weird. I was blown away.
Hawaii.
No. You got to think even weirder.
Alaska.
You got to think even weirder.
Oh, he's from
He's
Canada.
from the District of Columbia. Okay? He's from D.C. I gotta pull this up. I gotta pull the database and figure out who signed him. But there was one.
They know something that no one else knows.
It was Maryland. Maryland signed a fullback from the District of Columbia.
Was it DeMatha High School?
Ooh, I would need to look that up. I don't know, but yes, there you go. There's your fun fact of the week.
Nice.
One fullback.
I have yet to create a fullback profile.
It's a dying breed, brother. It's a dying breed. But yeah, there you go. That'll be coming up in the 2021 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Also coming up in the 2021 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, the fine work of Greg Powers, Next Level Athlete. Follow him on Twitter at GPowerScout. Follow Next Level Athlete at Next Level D1. See his fine work at TexasFootball.com/recruiting. And thanks again to our good chicken friends at Chicken Express.
It tastes good.
Greg.
We're at Texas Football today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider at TexasFootball.com/subscribe. Prove your Texanness. Become a card-carrying Texan if you go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe. We love football in the state more than anybody. And you can prove that you are part of that club if you go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe. To become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider, get a year's worth of exclusive online content at TexasFootball.com, plus 2 magazines, including our legendary summer edition, all for less than a dime a day. Pretty darn good stuff there. TexasFootball.com/subscribe to become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider. Powers, who'd you talk to this week?
We talked to Fort Bend Hightower wide receiver Caleb Douglas, a man who brings it on and off the field and has been on a meteoric recruiting rise. He's already got a couple of official visits scheduled, so hear from the man himself.
Greg Powers, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, here with CD4 Caleb Douglas, man, Hightower High School. Man, congratulations first and foremost on the recruiting rise. We'll get to the recruiting in a bit, but man, you've been blowing up. What's it been like?
It's been crazy. It all happened just like that. Cause first I was playing quarterback, I got a little clout, and then this year when I play receiver, it just happened so fast. Everybody's calling, I was like, dang, it was very overwhelming.
Man, you helped set me up for my very next question and what it was going to be. You mentioned playing quarterback. Just kind of talk about what that was like, transitioning from quarterback to wide receiver, and then also how you feel like maybe playing quarterback helped you learn about the game of football.
The transition, it really wasn't hard, because I know for a fact I could always catch. It was really just my route running, and my Coach Carter, he helped me a lot, getting my feet right, switching my hips, he helped me become a whole wide receiver. And then how it helps me, it helps say if I'm running out route on cover 2, I wouldn't take the out route all the way down by the flat because there'll be a DB there. So I stop. It just helps me find the holes in coverages basically.
Man, playing at Hightower, I know in Fort Bend ISD, you guys have a lot of rivalries. It's always a hotly contested game every Friday night. I mean, is it a big game going on? What's it like playing there? And I know you play alongside a lot of other like D1 guys and play against D1 guys. So just kind of talk about playing for Hightower, playing in Fort Bend.
Like playing in Fort Bend and Hightower is something about everybody wants to beat us. Like everybody plays their best game against us. I have no reason why, but so like when we play anybody, we have to be on our P's and Q's because they have like a chip on their shoulder that they just want to beat us. So we have to always come and be prepared.
Just kind of talk about the competition that you face, man. I'm looking at, in your district last year is like some really good teams like Manville and Richmond Foster. I mean, it seems like every week, Angleton didn't even win a district game last year, but for a long time, Angleton's always one of the really good teams in Texas. So, I mean, it seems like every weekend you got to go up against somebody that, is probably a D1 guy lining up across from you.
Yeah, Manville, I say Manville had to be our toughest competition this year. We played them twice. We lost both times. We have to we didn't, I can say we didn't prepare good, but we stopped playing in the second half a lot of the game. So we thought we won, so we was like, oh, we good. And since they're like high competitors too, so they was like, oh no, just because y'all up right now doesn't mean anything. So they came back and they won and all that. And Angleton, they've always been good. So this year we expect them to be better than what they were. So we played to our top tier. That's why Gino had broke the record with the throwing touchdowns. So we was all ready.
Wise us up to some of the culture in Houston. You're jumping in the bus. You're having to go to the game. You're getting ready to play Manville. It's a big game. You're going to have to go get some D1 guys. What do you have on your playlist? What are you listening to get hyped for the game?
Hyped for the game. My favorite rapper is Little Uzi Vert. So I always play him. Any Lil Uzi song is the go-to. Any song is my go-to. It don't even matter.
Nice. And is there food there? I know you got a lot. We're getting ready to dive into some recruiting stuff. I know you got a lot of offers that's coming in from out of state, but in the H-Town area, is there a food joint that's if you're coming here, you got to go get this?
Oh, yes. Me and my girlfriend, we go to this place called the Burger Joint a lot. So, this place is when I say their burgers are top tier, they're top tier. Their burgers are great.
You're hearing it, DCTF fans. We have a lot of foodies at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. We're talking food all the time. So you're hearing it from Caleb Douglas. If you're in the H, go by the Burger Joint and check that out. Here we go, man. We're going to dive into some recruiting stuff. You picked up another big offer most recently from Big 12 in Texas Tech. Just kind of talk about what you know about the Red Raiders and how happy you are to have an option to play P5 in state.
I like the Red Raiders a lot. They throw the ball. They throw the ball a lot. The ball is always in the air at Tech. And the coach there, Falani, he's a great wide receiver coach. He has a lot of experience with the wide receivers. So that's a good school.
The Red Raiders aren't the only in-state big program that's coming after you. Baylor Bears, man, they also stepped up for you. And I know that that's another team in the Big 12 that you're probably really going to consider. And you also have, an offer from Houston. So, I mean, there's a school close to home as well that you could consider. So kind of talk a little bit about Baylor, talk a little bit about Houston.
Baylor, I talked to Baylor a lot. After they offered, they became my speed dial. I called them, they called me. We have conversations all the time. And U of H is the same way. U of H, Tyrone Carrier, that's my boy. We talk a lot. He's like a father figure.
Man, I'm looking at your offer list, and something really jumps out to me when I look at it. All the academic institutions like Rice and Tulane and Vanderbilt are coming after you as well, which means that you're not only taking care of what you need to take care of on the field, you're bringing your A game off the field in the classroom. What's it mean to you to have schools like that? I know Rice is a big time, Vanderbilt big time academic school, near Ivy League. So does that mean something to you to have those schools coming for you too?
Yes, it means a lot. It means for me, I've always been big on my grades. I hate having C's in my report card. I always make sure they're A's and B's. And if it's a B, I'm trying to make sure it's an 85 or higher. So I make sure every time I turn all my work on time. I don't do assignments like last minute. I make sure everything is to a T and I have a schedule set.
Nice. Um, you know, the fog is starting to lift, man. The clouds are rising on recruiting as the pandemic is starting to get under the control. And there's hope of going out and taking some visits now and going out and seeing some schools. Are there a few schools on your list right now that you feel like you have to go out and make sure that you see, or do you have any visits set up yet?
I have one for Baylor, June 18th and 20th, and Utah, 25th and 27th of June.
Are you pretty excited to be able to get out and go see some of these programs now in person?
Yes.
You mean actually get to talk to the coaches in person?
Yeah, like I can't wait. I know they'll probably be like, okay, this guy's actually really tall in person, and I can't see them how they like talk and act, all the good stuff.
When it comes down to it, man, you got 2 official visits scheduled. Do you have a timeline in your mind on like when you want to have it done, or do you feel like because of everything that's been going on, you need to stretch it out as long as you can? Or are you thinking about a decision at all?
I'm like trying to stretch out as far as possible. I'm trying
Gotcha.
Probably like my first game. I'll probably say something.
Gotcha. And when it comes down to it, man, like what are the things that you can't live without? What is that school got to have?
Got to have a good community and like a great coaching staff. Like I want to be able to talk to the coach like that's like my brother, if you understand that. Because at that time, I'd be grown then, so like. I know I should be in like a kid standpoint, but like I just be able to come to him as a man and like have like talking things about just life, not just about football all the time.
Last question for me, man, and this is a key point because those colleges that are after you and their fan bases that are going to be watching this interview, they want to know what you're bringing to the table. So what is a college program going to get Caleb Douglas when it is time to make that commitment and you do step out on the field on Saturday night for the first time? What are you bringing?
I'm going to have a hard-working, like, receiver. Like, you throw the ball in my area, anywhere, it's going to be my ball. So, just anywhere. Just throw it up. I'm going to have it.
You heard it. He's a man who's going to go up and get you the football. That's Caleb Douglas from Fort Bend Hightower, man. Thanks for the time and good luck with your decision-making process. And, of course, good luck on your senior season upcoming.
Appreciate it.
There he is, Caleb Douglas, the Fort Bend Hightower wide receiver, talking with our own Greg Powers here on Texas Football Today. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbells. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbells. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Hey, Powers, thanks for stopping by.
Greg. He doesn't like us.
Wow.
I don't think he likes you. I think he likes me.
Can you blame him?
No, not really.
Thanks again to Caleb Douglas, Fort Bend Hightower, for being our guest. For Greg Powers and Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please get your Player of the Year trophy. Remember, no show tomorrow. We will see you Friday on Texas Football Today.